Okay, it's 9 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you have your cell phones on, please mute them. That's me. Oh, I already got it. Okay. So I need to appoint Keen Hudson to the committee. Keen, thank you for joining us. Becky, will you do roll call?
I sure will. Jack Scrogstead,
Here.
Allie Huss,
Here.
Dean Friel, Katie White, Ron Gascoigne, Kevin Lally,
Present.
and Keen Hudson.
Present.
All right. At this time, public attendees. We have any public attendees? I see Greg is here. Greg has some information for us as always. So Greg, if you'd like to share with us what you got.
Hopefully you have the report, which errantly I sent out last night. And hopefully you have it as a PDF. I will hit some of the highlights. Overall, for the recently concluded fiscal year for FY26, it looks as though we're going to land around 96,000 rides provided, which is about a 3,000 ride increase from the previous fiscal year. I will tell you it's official now as of July 1st. Whiteside County is now part of Reagan Mass Transit District. That closing occurred on June 30th, and we've started to provide service to Whiteside County as part of Reagan Mass Transit District as of the 1st of July. So good news. Continuing to work with IDOT on final changes to pre-award concurrence for the construction of the Oregon office, which will be a 9,400 square foot facility, with most of that comprising the bus barn area. Over 7,100 square feet will be the size for that bus barn. And if you're not familiar with the location of where that office will be, it'll be at the junction of Route 2 and Pines Road. So a good location in terms of jumping off for not only Ogle County, but also rural Winnebago County. Thanks to the volunteers, sponsors, and also other supporters of our second annual Four Wheels Golf Outing held June 19th at Timber Creek Golf Course. We are gaining some momentum with some of our other capital-related projects and some of the rebuild funding, trying to also anticipate the release of another round of capital by IDOT, which should yet occur during the summer months. And overall, I would say the budget and the contracts for FY27, the current fiscal year, have been approved by IDOT, so we're good to go from that perspective. And that is all I have for my report, unless there's questions.
Greg, congratulations on the Whiteside County deal there. And I don't think anyone's got any stuff. All right. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
There, way in the back, are you a guest, and do you have anything you'd like to talk about today? Just go up to the mic, just say your name and okay. We have that on our agenda later on. So you're new, or are you a visitor, or? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thanks for letting me know that, we've got surprise. Okay. Well, guess what? You're coming up next. So not next, but thank you. See, I'm gone for a month and I don't know what's going on here. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So I hope everyone had a chance to look through the minutes. There's any corrections or changes on it? Anybody? Nope. Okay. They'll stand as presented. All right. So let's just move into the Transportation Department. Dave, would you like to walk us through your report?
Okay, unfortunately, not a whole lot to report on the progress of our current projects. They will happen. So the problem is it's all going to get compressed into the latter half of the summer here. So we're not expecting the seal coat work to begin until late July, which means there's about $1.7 million worth of work that's essentially scattered out all throughout the county that'll have to be done within about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on weather. So that'll be quite a flurry of activity once that gets going. Our Lee Center Road hot mix project isn't scheduled to begin until late August. The Brooklyn Road hot mix job isn't scheduled to begin until mid-September. And today, they should be putting up traffic control for the Indian Head Road Bridge out southwest part of the county. So that's going to get going. There is a September 15th completion deadline on that, so they need to get going on that. That was a little bit of a challenge to notify the public on that one. There just isn't a real good publication to notify, but I did find out who managed the Village of Walnut's website and Facebook page and got a hold of them and got them a press release. So hopefully that goes as smoothly as can be. I have a note on here that the Slant Road Bridge is being moved to 2027. And that you see a sort of a per LaSalle County. If you remember, it's been close to 2 years ago. We did an intergovernmental agreement with them on the funding breakdown on that. And the reason we did that is because this bridge is on a township line. And when a township bridge is on a township line on a county line, it is not the financial responsibility of the townships, but it's the financial responsibility of the two respective counties in proportion to their respective EAVs. So that's just a quirk of Illinois law. So in this case, we sort of luck out because LaSalle County has a lot higher EAV than we do. So it's about a 75-25% split. At any rate, that's just being moved, and that's just a note there for you. But anyway, we'll get them all done. It's just going to be pretty active here coming up here shortly. In terms of maintenance activities, the guys have pretty much switched over. We're going to be doing culverts probably for the next 3 to 4 weeks, which means the striping's on hold. We've got most of the edge line striping done, but we'll have to pick up the center line striping once we get a lot of those culverts done. While we kind of got a dry spell here, that's when we want to catch up on those. And just a note that we're still taking applications for the position of technician/office manager and hope to get more in. But we'll probably be doing some interviews on maybe 2 or 3 candidates here coming up in the next week or two. Let you know the progress on that. So that's pretty much it for my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions? So, recycling still going on.
Yep.
It's really sad. I went by a house the other day in Dixon, and there's a TV sitting out by there where their garbage can was. And I'm thinking, I just want to go and knock on their house. Hey,
Yeah, there is a place to get rid of it.
oh my God.
You can
yeah.
bring it down, drop it off. You
It-
just bring it down, drop it off. You don't have to come in the
Yeah.
office. You don't have to report in. You just drop it off at the pallets there next to the fence, and we'll take it from there. But we're about ready to call in another semi load here, be next week. So, yep.
All right. I just want to throw that out there. So somebody knows somebody that's got their TV sitting out in their front yard, garbage man ain't going to pick it up. So, all right. So let's move on to the assessor's office and GIS. Jeremy.
Thank you. All right. So a handful of great things going on in GIS as well as the assessor's office. There's a couple system and software upgrades that we're going through with the GIS office right now. Obviously, we're still down 1 employee in that office. Sammy and Susan have been working through interviews of potential candidates, and we're going into second round interviews here on site within the next 2 weeks, and hope to have that position filled within the month. So we're really excited about that opportunity to bring some relief to Sammy as he's very much overworked with a lot of the things that are going on at the moment. Also in line with that, we have began the transition of and planning specifically as we go into next budget season to separate the offices. For a handful of years, they were the assessor GIS office. With the transitions going on in the assessor's office, which I will discuss here in a minute, we thought this was an opportune time to go ahead and split those departments again, work with the two separately, but also still in great collaboration and efficiencies between the two. So things are moving ahead, and we're really excited about that. In regard to the assessor's office, as you see Amy Neutral sitting here, as we went through the interviews and postings for the supervisor of assessments over the last couple of months, Amy had expressed her interest. We went through a handful of interview processes with her and other candidates, and we are proud to announce that as we go through this, the executive committee will bring forth a resolution for her appointment at this July board meeting as the new supervisor of assessments. So Amy will be taking over in that role, which is phenomenal. She's been with the office for a little over 5 years, passed her certification with IDOR first try, which doesn't happen very often. So we were really excited about this opportunity and her willingness to step up with it as being an internal candidate, knowing how the office operates and what our vision is for the future. She's going to be phenomenal. So I wanted Amy to introduce herself to you, and so you get used to seeing her sitting in that seat and giving the assessor's report.
Well, awesome. Well, Amy, would you like to provide the committee with your report?
And will you grab a microphone?
If you just, she didn't prepare a report.
She
but-
didn't prepare.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
all
but
right.
Amy, if you grab a microphone right there, hit the button and just
Make
introduce
sure to turn
yourself
it
and
green. Yeah,
give
you're on.
everybody
You're on
Okay,
live.
a
so-
little brief.
I'm Amy Neutral. I've worked in the real estate for, I don't know, before I came to the county, I worked at a title company and did title searching and examining for 6 years, a little over 6 years. And I applied here with the county because it seemed like a good fit for me with I do mapping. That was my background, mapping and GIS functions. So I've been here. I like the county. I enjoy working with my coworkers. I wasn't expecting this opportunity, but I like a good challenge. I know I don't know everything. I've been very forthcoming about that, but I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to grow, and I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to do that for the county. So, thank you.
That's awesome. When you got somebody to say, I may not know everything, but I'm going to ask. I like that,
Mhm.
So yeah, I appreciate that type of thought process. So, well, welcome.
Thank you.
And we wish you well.
Thank you.
So, all righty. Anything else? And then I'm going to pull it back to you for the county board report then, if you've got
Nope,
anything.
nothing else in regard to assessor or GIS. County board, just a quick update. We met with Illinois Tollway. If you haven't already heard, Illinois Tollway is, has a capital program called Driving Connections. It's a $26 billion program over 15 years of capital investment throughout the state. Within their footprint, part of that is they are looking to invest in Lee County. We have had ongoing discussions with Tollway for a little over a year with just, potential opportunities here and where they're looking at growth and potential capital investment. And they are very much interested in the Ashton Franklin Grove area for a new interchange. So we're going to continue to have those discussions. It's all very preliminary. And as we do that, we'll be bringing in, more stakeholders, Dave, community members, specifically to the areas that they're looking to have capital investment and have broader discussions around what that looks like. But it is exciting. It's an exciting opportunity, for growth and for access, specifically in the, public safety, because that's a corridor that's very difficult when there is incidents. So that's another thing that they're looking at. But on that note, Tollway is having public hearings that they have throughout the entire state. Ours is going to be July 16th at the Loveland Community Building in the dining room, and that's from 6 to 8. So anybody's welcome to attend from the public. They could hear all about their capital programs and what they're looking at doing, and they would really welcome attendance to that. So that's all I have.
All right. Anything for Jeremy? All right. So thanks, Jeremy. Let's move to the county clerk and recorder. Nancy, would you like to walk the committee through your report?
Yes, thank you, Jack. Good morning. Besides what's in my report, I just wanted to let you know that effective yesterday, I have a new hire in the election department. Her name is Bridget Tuft. She's going to be working side by side with Deb Phillips in the election office. So I'm very, very excited to bring her on board. She has some experience in the election world a little bit, which is even a huge plus. And the good news is she will be here before Deb leaves for 2 elections. So if you want to stop by and say hi. Like I said, we made a little desk for her down there in the election office. And just keep your eyes open around the beginning of August. A postcard's going to be going out, and that's that mandatory permanent vote by mail postcard that has to go out to 22,000 registered voters. Basically, that card is asking you if you are interested in being put on the list for a permanent vote by mail ballot that would be mailed to your home. A lot of people are very confused by the postcard. It's different than your registered voter card that goes out every 2 years. So this one's a little different. There is going to be, we rearrange the postcard down towards the bottom. There's going to be a very large bold box for people to check and sign to say that they, do not want to ever have a vote by mail ballot. If they want to just have it for a primary election, a general election, there's a lot of different options. It's very, very confusing for Lee County voters. But like you said, it's just something that State Board of Elections requires us to do. And as we all know, especially effective, midnight on Sunday, postage went up another 4 cents. So postage is going nowhere but up. Luckily, a postcard is a little cheaper postage. And they are mailed by our election company, so they do get a big bulk discount, but there's still the cost in the postcard. Any questions?
No questions, just a comment. I like the idea that you're trying to bold that up. Really bold that. No, I do not want. Just to save us a little bit of money. And then that would be nice if the public would take that opportunity. And then if they ever did need a vote by mail, they could request it. But because of the state required us to do this back during pretty much the COVID time. So anyways, that's just my comment. All right. Any questions for Nancy? Okay. Next would be IT. Paul, he's not here, but he did submit a report. It's not in your onboard at this moment, but if you refresh it, it would be there. Chris Tennyson is not here also. His report is there as well if you wanted to go through that. But Jim Gordon is here and Bruce from Veterans. So thank you for coming, you guys. Want to walk us through your report?
You have my report and Bruce's report in front of you with the activity that we did last month in June as far as Veterans Assistance Commission, transportation, food assistance, utility assistance, a number of folks that have come in for help. Also, I added a new one with driver activity. So you can see each month from the beginning of this year how many volunteer drivers we've used and the hours that they have volunteered as far as driving and the miles that they have driven. That includes the van that we leased from Iowa City, disabled American veterans, and also their own personal vehicles. So I will be sending that in each month so you can keep an idea what actually and how many volunteer drivers we have. Right now we're down to about 4. We sent one 2 weeks ago for for a physical at Iowa City, and unfortunately he failed the physical. He is a veteran, but the Department of Veterans Affairs have raised their goals and objectives as far as physical ailments or whatever are concerned. And if you're taking certain medicine, you cannot drive a government vehicle, even though you can drive your own personal vehicle wherever you want to go. So that's pretty much what I have. Our temporary office is working out fine, except we're still having issues with our phone. We're trying to work with Paul to get that straightened out. We definitely need a second line for Bruce, for Bruce's office, because using one line is pretty difficult trying to transfer calls back and forth. Paul has told me he has the number. He's just a matter of getting it hooked up. So that's pretty much where we're at. Bruce wants to comment on his report that he has sent.
Sure. What I submitted is just a very basic report that's pulled from VetPro. That's the database that we elected to use for our tracking systems and handling all the paperwork with the veterans. Somewhere around 49 different interactions or so, and it counts for emails, phones, texts, walk-ins, all that kind of stuff. Currently have 5 clients that I'm working claims for. They're in different stages of the claims. I have one that's submitted, one that's ready to submit, and then 3 that are still gathering their evidence and medical records. But overall, it's been going very well. I've completed all my online training. I'm just waiting for my OJC number for my accreditation, so that way I can apply for my PIV card, which is just like a little card that allows you to access the VA system so you can see everything the VA sees. Once I get that, it'll be much easier for me to file these claims. I'll be able to submit them right from my desk in the database. How we're doing it now is I've been having them come in and I'm printing it off. I do all the paperwork for them and I just have them sign it, and I help them log into their own personal account and submit it through their account. So that way we can still process these claims up until the point when I have my own personal access. But overall, everything's going very well. Any questions?
Thanks, Bruce. Any questions for? Appreciate all the work you're doing for the veterans. And I just want to throw a shout out to all those volunteer drivers too. That's really appreciative too. They are. So, okay. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to the zoning. Alice isn't here, but she did provide a report. There is no petitions coming from the zoning hearing officers. There's no petitions coming from the planning commission. We have no unfinished business, but we do have new business. We're going to call this the Technology Overlay District updates. This is discussion only. And I just wanted to comment that during the June County Board meeting, Chairman Olson suggested that this committee get involved in the discussion regarding a technology overlay district, and that we would kind of start with this information that Orion, and I'm not going to chop up his name, but it starts with an L. He presented this information to the board members, and I was not here, but I did zoom in and I did listen to it, part of his comments. And some of the stuff that he had made comments onto, some suggestions, I did like them. They did make sense. So we're kind of using this committee here to maybe discuss some of these, add some of those things to it, and then maybe integrate them into that particular ordinance. So Jeremy, if you would want to start this off and go from there, and kind of like what we've kind of talked about.
Yeah, sure. So, as Chairman Scrock just said, we had, some obviously data centers and are a huge topic across the country right now. In June of 2025, Lee County had adopted a technology overlay district ordinance. We put that in place to make sure that we did have zoning and protections in place in case a data center did inquire about Lee County. And again, that ordinance does not just cover data centers. It covers other technology developments and uses. But with that, last month came some recommendations from the public. We want to take that seriously And with that, as Jack said, Chairman Olson had requested that this committee just look at our current ordinance, look at what has been brought forth by the public, work with staff, myself, Alice, Stephanie Sasser from the State's Attorney's Office, as we continue to evaluate what gaps are there, what might need to be included, and what amendments might need to be made. So, again, we're not going to jump into this and just make changes right now. We're going to continue to evaluate those, see what's best for the county and our constituents and citizens as we move forward, while making sure that there's proper protections in place and safeguards. So with that, it's going to be ongoing. The good thing about ordinances are that they can change. We can make amendments tomorrow. We could do it in 2 years. So, I think that's the great thing about what we do here in the county and as a county board is we continue to evaluate and we don't just stick with the status quo just because we have it. So I do commend the public attendees and the gentleman that brought forth specifically these recommendations for us to consider. And then we'll continue to have this as an ongoing topic at this committee until we feel comfortable with moving an ordinance, amendments to plan commission and then back to the county board. So any, questions on at least the process for now or any concerns on that?
I don't have anything on the process because I totally agree with it. Like we discussed earlier, it's going to take some time to work through this. This is not going to be like an ad hoc committee. We're going to put it in front of Alice and the State's Attorney's Office to put together language and then see, after kind of the things we want to throw in there and see what legal stuff that we can do or add to it. And so hopefully we can do that. So it's just a matter of what we're looking to add to it. So do you have that list, Jeremy?
I shut myself off. I do. Gentleman that brought in some proposed amendments. I'm just going to start with what he brought last month.
Sure.
First amendment that he proposed was to ensure decommissioning bond attaches to data centers. Our existing section lists that the facilities must submit a decommissioning plan, but it doesn't necessarily call out data center specifically. We believe that we cover that just in the language, but there is the ability to strengthen that by making sure that the term data centers is included, and that is something that as we continue to look at this, it's a great reference point and good thing to note. So, and again, keep in mind, as these things were coming about. Alice and I had internal conversations about things that we needed to change to them anyway. So this is what has been brought forward is expediting that, and it's probably better that it did. So we could get on top of this sooner rather than later. Second amendment was water disclosure and well protection. We currently reference public water and sewer, but it doesn't really impose consumption disclosures. We don't ask for that in the actual agreement. Now, part of that would be part of the planning and zoning process anyway. So a lot of those disclosures would come out in findings of fact and all of those things, but we don't specifically call it out in the ordinance. So definitely something to look at, as that is a big concern.
So we want to make sure we add that language in the ordinance, is what you're saying, correct?
Just to some capacity. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's again, all of these things are recommendations. We're going to have to look at what we currently have, what we can legally do, what our process already exists as within the multiple phases of this. And again, remember, just because, we're talking about this from a permitting standpoint, well, there's multiple phases of getting to that permit, right? So we will, yes, it is something we need to consider. His third amendment was ratepayer protection for grid costs. you know, our existing section requires proximity to just the 115 kV lines plus kV lines, but we don't address who bears the cost of grid updates. This one's going to be probably a struggle. I get that our concern is, I mean, I pay for utilities as well. Okay. So I completely understand, you know, utility costs as they continue to go up. Part of that conversation is what I think we need to discuss is, do we include additions to making sure that a large user like that brings some of their own power generation? That's what we need to have discussions on, you know,
Right.
and what the effect of that looks like. Just recommendation.
Is this where he was talking about, you know, having, if they're gonna have a solar field for themselves to generate, we could just, you know, instead of having them apply for a solar ordinance, it would just be built right inside of that, kind of like what you were talking about? Or am I going somewhere else?
So they would still have to apply for a use permit, would still need to be for the solar usage there.
Right.
But we can't make laws around who bears businesses' costs, right?
Right.
So if the utility infrastructure upgrades happen, we can't, as a county, say to the business how that has to be structured.
Yeah.
But to Jeremy's point, what we can do is make it incredibly appealing and incentivize them that if you're going to do this, power generation needs to be your own behind the meter so that there is no impact to the users that are on the grid and not related to the project scope.
Right.
So it would still have to be part of a permitting process that covers whatever type of energy generation they're wanting to put behind the meter so that we have the proper compliance on that build as well. But we can make it so that those two things go hand in hand.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that.
And again, we're just lightly touching these topics right now. So as we want to dive deep into one of them as we continue to move on, or in another meeting, you know, these are continuous conversations. Amendment 4 was a fixed nighttime noise limit at the property line. So our existing section requires compliance with Illinois Pollution Control Board regulations and submission of noise report within 15 days of county request. Doesn't really set a numeric limit. He's suggesting that we do. I don't necessarily disagree with that. We need to look into it more and understand what, you know, the common practice is as this looks, you know, as this continues to be a topic. He suggested not to exceed 60 decibels during daytime hours and 55 decibels during nighttime hours. I do know that in a lot of other ordinances throughout the country that do limit noise at the property line, the standards were a little bit lower than that, but you know, more like the 40 to 50. But it's definitely something that we should look at as an inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to put a number on there at least and get an idea. You know, hate to have, you know, you build a house next to it and then all of a sudden you're complaining the noise is too loud. You know, don't want to do that either.
Amendment 6 was, you know, a host agreement and community benefit. I mean, this is definitely something that we would be discussing anyway with a potential developer. It's not necessarily in the ordinance. We could put something in the ordinance, but, you know, talking about different agreements and community benefits as part of the greater, you know, development project is something that is typically standard on large projects like this or to any scale. I would have to defer, you know, as we continue to have these conversations, but to the legality of putting things like that specifically in the our ordinance. So it's, again, a lot of these things are going to take some, you know, we're going to have to educate ourselves and do some investigation, but I'm going to lean a lot on, you know, our attorneys to assist in some of this language creation. Aren't you excited, Charlie? Amendment 7 is, you know, let's prohibit non-disclosure agreements with local governments. I don't think that's something that we would do necessarily. So a lot of this conversation, NDAs are again part of the process. I will disclose I have not been in an NDA with any data center company at all. What I would state is that a lot of times as potential developers or investors are looking at coming to an area, they obviously want to get into an NDA to try to limit the amount of information that gets out there to the public or its competitors, which is probably the main piece of that, right? Most of the time you see limited NDA action in local government anyway, because you will, and I don't know for FOIA protections for sure, but if we are FOIA'd in a specific topic, the NDA itself, not the, aspects of it, would still come up in a FOIA. So it's not like we would be able to hide behind some, steel curtain that we're talking to a company or not talking to a company, but maybe the aspects of that conversation might be protected. Is that fair? Yep. So again, these are all discussion topics. Those were the 7 amendments that he had brought forth. Ryan Levatus, I think is how we pronounce his last name. That's to start the conversation. We have some internal things that we would like to discuss, and I'd like, when Alice comes back, we'll continue to delve upon those. But again, I would like you guys to have some discussion around what the proposals are, how far, give some direction back to myself and Alice, and we want to continue to have these conversations and build an ordinance that is suitable for ourselves and the public. So I think we have a great framework. I really do. What we've already created a year ago is phenomenal. Now, again, as we said, there's always gaps in things, and there's always things that we can correct. And this gives us the opportunity to do that. So.
Well, this is another thing that was never mentioned in any of this. And Kevin, with your background in firefighting and stuff like that, but we would probably need some special hazmat training if any kind of lithium battery fire that might take place out there. So I don't know if we would have to have, emergency services also involved and making sure that the local fire department is trained and how to handle that. And that I think maybe putting some of that, who's going to pay for that training too, if that could be
And
something.
again, I don't know how much you want to put into an ordinance, but
Right.
again, with a lot of these types of developments, that is part of that,
Right.
that agreement process as we go through this. Put it in perspective, battery storage,
Right.
so most of the time, and again, we don't have an active battery storage development, so don't take this out of context, but these, as technology changes and these companies are looking in to come to develop in a specific area project, they are meeting with everybody that's involved, specifically public safety, and
Sure.
paying for those trainings to make sure that they are able to come in and take care of any situation that may take place. And that would be something that we would want to make sure happens. But
Right.
I
Exactly.
don't know how much, we want to put into the ordinance or not, but I do think that is definitely something that is top of mind.
All right. Well, a lot of the things you brought up are exactly some of the things that I noticed and heard. So I think having Alice, she's not here today, but having her with Stephanie and maybe putting some language together and then having it for us the next meeting, something we can iron out and stuff like that.
Yep. So in talking with Alice, our thoughts is to work internally with some of the recommendations, some of the things that we have considered ourselves, bring those recommendations in a kind of a red line draft to you
Exactly.
guys to have more conversation about it at our next meeting, and to continue to have those discussions. Again, I don't, and this is going to be up to you, but I don't believe we're going to have like ad hoc workshops involving this. We will continue to have these discussions at a committee level, and internally, and any member of the public is welcome to come to these committees. to have conversation and to have public comment. It will be up to you if at any point you want to open the floor to have broader discussion around this, if there is public attendees, but I don't know if there's going to be, I mean, and it's going to be up to you, but I don't know if there's going to be committed separate meetings to this.
Right.
It'll be mostly during these, is that correct?
That is
Okay.
definitely correct, yes. I know that we have heard comments about putting in a moratorium. And I know we talked about it. If you'd like to maybe go into a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Keep shutting myself off. I don't, I mean, in having the conversations with yourselves and other, county board members, I mean, this is going to be it's a policy decision. So at the end of the day, if the board decides if that's something they want to do, that's something we do, but it doesn't seem that that's the case right now. I really think that we're going to continue to have guidance that comes down from the state that's going to be telling us what we need to do, just like with solar and wind and all of these
Yep.
things. I understand the idea of a moratorium, but again, just if there was an interested party at looking at petitioning for a land use change or zoning change or permitting, and one, that's a long process, and two, and again, Charlie could correct me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but the board doesn't have to approve a permit, if it's going to be something that is damaging to the public. Or it's our opinion that it's going to be damaging to our county. So I think we have some internal structural safeguards already in place. We have zoning that's already in place. We're obviously working on that with the concerns of our constituents and citizens. And we're going to continue to do that. But if the board decides that is a direction that they would like to go, we definitely can look into that. But I really believe sooner rather than later, we're going to see some language that's coming down from the state.
I only brought that up because it has been a question, and I want the public to know that that is the reason probably why, currently not looking at a moratorium. But Gene, you got something?
I was just going to say that the state of New York just put in place a moratorium on this process.
That was the first state in the country to do it.
So anyways, any other comments from the floor? Charlie? Nothing? Nope, you're good?
No, I just look forward to the discussion and helping in any way I can.
Okay. There was something else I wanted to make a comment on. Oh, yes, just for the public interest. Are there any petitions out there for? No. Okay. So at this time, there is no petitions for a data center.
There are no
Or-
discussions.
There
There are no discussions.
And there's been no discussions either. Nothing. Okay.
I mean,
So we are ahead of the curve, and I want to thank the public for bringing these things to us. And we're dealing with it the best we are going to do it in a responsible way. Unfortunately, or fortunately, data centers are out there. AI is going. Every time you Google something, it's going to AI. If you don't want your information out there, don't Google anything. Just saying. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that particular comment. So anybody else on the committee? Comment? Jeremy? Good?
I think I spoke enough.
Okay. All right. With that, we have no executive session. And I think we're ready to adjourn. So is there a motion to adjourn? Ally, first it, Kevin seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?